Welcome to another video. This is JC Diaz. This episode of JC Diaz Uncensored is brought to you by no one, just me, no sponsors. In today's episode, today's show, I want to give a shout out to Black people, to African Americans all over the country, because African Americans have been telling us for years, ever since African Americans started were brought here as slaves. They've been telling us for years about the brutality of America. And we've always pushed back. And the majority of the time, we just want to say that they want to complain about stuff that happened 200 years ago and all that. We don't listen to them. But I want to give a shout out to them because they've been telling us the truth. You know, America is a great country and I love this country, but we also have a dark side to us. We have a dark side to this country. And because of that, I want to give a shout out to Black people because they've been telling us all along what has been going on for years and years in this country. So I wanted to take the time and give a shout out to Black people because they've been telling us this all along. Let's go ahead and start the show. Today I found this list of the different massacres that have occurred in the United States ever since going as far as 1868. And I just wanted to, give you guys a little history lesson for those of you who don't know. So let's go ahead and start the show, and I'll be back in a couple minutes. And we are back. Thank you to my subscribers. Please hit like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep this channel growing. I will keep bringing you guys great content like always, and you guys keep supporting me, and we are going to learn a lot. I promise you we will learn a lot. So I want to, before I start, I want to give a shout out to zinnproject.org. That is ZINNED as in David, project.org. This is where I found this list, and this is called the Zinn Education Project. You can all go there, go to their website, and it's called Zinn, ZINNEDPROJECT.org. And you can find the list. You can find many things in this website. It's a historical website, and it is amazing. I found so many different things here, so much information, So, all right. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about something different. I love America. This is my country. I love this country. I am from Latino descendant, and like you guys heard at the beginning of the show, I gave a shout out to African Americans because African Americans have been the voice of reason the entire time in this country. African Americans have been the voice of reason. African Americans have been telling us, have been denouncing the brutality of America. This is a great country, but we also have a dark side to us. This is a violent country. It's just the way it is. And given the fact, or because of what has happened now in less than 3 weeks in Minneapolis, where 2 protesters were killed by ICE agents, and because of the violence that's going on and all the abuse from part of the ICE agents, I wanted to bring you guys this list, and I wanted to also honor and say thank you to Black people for always telling us like it is. We've been ignoring it, but it has always been there. African Americans or black people have told us for years about police brutality, the government's brutality. They've been telling us for years, and we just decided to ignore. So I wanted to bring this list of the different massacres that have occurred in the United States ever since the inception of this country. Ever since, the first settlers came from England, and after that, it's been, I mean, every year, every decade, there's some type of massacre or some type of shootout. So I want to start with the first one in this list, which is December 14th, 1763. This is called the Conestoga Massacre. White settlers massacred all inhabitants of Conestoga Indian Town, leading to escalating tensions across the state of Pennsylvania. It says the Conestoga Massacre took place on December 14, 1763, when more than 50 white settlers, later called the Paxton Boys, attacked the 20 residents of the Conestoga Indian Town. 6 of the Conestoga were brutally murdered in their homes, and the remaining 14 people were killed while seeking shelter in a nearby workhouse. So this is this was back in December 14, 1763, and that's where our history of violence and massacre begins in the United States. Beautiful country, but also with a dark side. So now we move on to July 13, 1863, New York City draft, riots, and massacre. The New York City draft massacre or riots were the largest civil insurrection in the U.S. history besides the Civil War itself. White mobs attacked the African American community, committing murder and burning homes and institutions, including an orphanage. On this anniversary of the New York City draft riots and massacre, July 13, 1863, we share a teaching activity that helps students explore what Howard Zinn described as the most destructive period of civil violence in U.S. history. So that was back in July 13, 1863. This is the New York City draft riots and massacre. So now we move on to April 12, 1864, Union soldiers massacred at Fort Pillow. In April 12, 1864, Confederate troops massacred over 500 surrendering Union soldiers, the majority African American, at the Civil War Battle of Fort Pillow. On April 12, 1864, Confederate troops massacred over 500 surrendering Union soldiers at the Battle of Fort Pillow in Tennessee. The majority of Union troops killed were black soldiers serving in the U.S. Colored Troops, USCT at the time. They were stationed with white troops at Fort Pillow under Major Lionel F. Booth, who was also killed in the fighting. The Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest, also infamous for being the first Grand Wizard of the early Ku Klux Klan, recorded the atrocity in a report. He described the Union soldiers attempting to surrender and how his men slaughtered them. News of the massacre traveled throughout the North and South. Remember Fort Pillow became a rallying cry for USCT soldiers, and the atrocity was used as a propaganda by both sides of the Civil War. This happened back in April 12, 1864. So now we're going to move on. We continue to go. December 9th, 1864. Just April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 8 months later, December 9th, 1864, the Ebenezer Creek Massacre. People who had escaped from slavery were following the Union Army were blocked from crossing the Ebenezer Creek, leading to their death. And it says like this: on December 9th, 1864, on the march to Savannah, hundreds or thousands of African American families who had just escaped from slavery were left to drown by Sherman's army. This is referred to as the massacre at Ebenezer Creek. On the pretense that there has likely to be fighting in front, the Negroes were told not to go upon the pontoon bridge until all the troops and wagons were over. A guard was detailed to enforce the order, recalled Colonel Charles Kerr of the 16th Illinois Cavalry in a speech 20 years after the incident. As soon as we were over the creek, orders were given to the engineers to take up the pontoons and not let a Negro cross. I sat upon my horse then, and I witnessed a scene the like of which I pray my eyes may never see again. Just before sunrise, the refugees cried out as their escape route was pulled away from them. Moments later, Wheeler's scouts rode up from behind and opened fire. Hundreds of refugees rushed forward into the icy current. Several Union soldiers on the eastern bank tried to help, pushing logs out to the few refugees still swimming. In response to public outcry about the massacre, demands by black ministers to Secretary of War Edwin Stanton and Union General William T. Sherman were heated and led to the short-lived land distribution during Reconstruction, known as Sherman's Special Field Order Number 15. This was one of many massacres in U.S. history. So this happened, ladies and gentlemen, December 9, 1864, the Ebenezer Creek Massacre. All right, so we move on. This is May 1st to the 3rd, 1866, the Memphis Massacre. White civilians and police killed 46 African Americans and injured many more while burning houses, schools, and churches in Memphis, Tennessee. This happened in May 1st to the 3rd, 1866, Memphis Massacre. White civilians and police killed 46 African Americans and injured many more while burning houses, schools, and churches in Memphis, Tennessee. So we move on. July 30th, 1866, New Orleans Massacre. The New Orleans Massacre occurred when white residents attacked black marchers near the reconvened Louisiana Constitutional Convention. This happened July 30, 1866. The New Orleans Massacre, also known as the New Orleans Riot, occurred in July 30, 1866, when white residents attacked black marchers gathered outside the Mechanics Institute, where the reconvened Louisiana Constitutional Convention met in response to the state legislature enacting black codes and limiting suffrage. As explained in the Absolute Massacre, the 1866 riot at the Mechanics Institute, the parade of marchers had dwarfed of the mob and on the other side of the canal, but once they made it to the Mechanics Institute, where the convention was taking place inside, they were beset by more violence. A gang of white supremacists and ex-Confederates attacked. Fire sirens went off, signaling police to attack. They were sent by the mayor. This happened in, let me just hold on for a second. This was 1864, May 3rd. This was the New Orleans Massacre. July 30, 1866, the New Orleans Massacre. Now we move on. September 19, 1868, the Camilla Massacre. As African Americans marched peacefully, keyword, in response to their expulsion from elected office, more than a dozen were massacred near Albany, Georgia. This happened September 19, 1868. September 28, 1868, just 9 days later, Opelousas Massacre. In response to the promotion of voter registration, a KKK-like group massacred hundreds of people, most of whom were African American. This is because they were finally allowed to vote. They were massacred. This was September 28, 1868. So the next part, October 25th, 1868, the St. Bernard Parish Massacre. The St. Bernard Parish Massacre of African Americans was carried out by white men to terrorize the recently emancipated voters of Louisiana. That was October 25th, 1868, the St. Bernard Parish Massacre. And that was in a church, by the way. April 13, 1873, Colfax Massacre. The Ku Klux Klan carried out the Colfax Massacre in response to a Republican victory in the 1872 elections. November 3rd, 1874, White League attacks black voters. deadly election riots took place in Barber County, Alabama, against African American politicians and voters. That happened November 3rd, 1874. The White League attacks black voters. December 7, 1874, Vicksburg Massacre. White people attacked and killed many black citizens who had organized for a black sheriff to remain in office during the Vicksburg Massacre. These people were attacked because they had organized to back up a black sheriff that wanted to remain in office during the Vicksburg Massacre. December 7, 1874. We move on. September 4, 1875, Clinton, Mississippi Massacre. Nearly 50 African Americans were killed by white mobs during the Clinton riot. September 4, 1875. July 8, 1876, Hamburg Massacre. During a clear sign of Reconstruction era and voter suppression, a black militia was accused of blocking a road and punished with the Hamburg Massacre. November 3rd, 1883, the Danville Riot. African American voters were threatened after the Danville Riot, leading to their loss of political power in this majority African American city in Virginia. March 17, 1886, Carroll County Courthouse Massacre. The Carroll County Courthouse Massacre left 23 black people dead when an armed white mob attacked an ongoing trial. They were in the middle of the trial. These people came in and attacked them. May 27, 1887, Massacre at Hell's Canyon. In eastern Oregon, in an area now known as Chinese Massacre Cove, a group of white men murdered 34 Chinese laborers in a brutal act of white supremacist violence in the Hell's Canyon Massacre. May 27, 1887, Massacre at Hell's Canyon. In eastern Oregon, in an area now known as Chinese Massacre Cove, a group of white men murdered 34 Chinese laborers in a brutal act of white supremacist violence in the Hell's Canyon Massacre. November 23rd, 1887, Thibodaux Massacre. Between 30 to 60 striking black Louisiana sugarcane workers were massacred. 30 to 60 black Louisiana sugarcane workers were massacred. August 5th, 1896, Polk County Massacre. White workers murdered black workers in Arkansas who were coming to work on the railways. They were literally going to work. They were killed. August 5th, 1896, Polk County Massacre. November 10, 1898, Wilmington Massacre. The elected and interracial Reconstruction era local government was deposed in a coup d'etat in Wilmington, North Carolina. August 14, 1908, Springfield Massacre. This massacre was committed against African Americans by a mob of about 5,000 white people in Springfield, Illinois. July 29, 1910, Slocum Massacre in Texas. Citizens in the small, predominantly African American town of Slocum, Texas, were massacred. I want to read this one. The 1910 Slocum Massacre in East Texas officially saw between 8 and 22 African Americans killed, and evidence suggests casualties were 10 times this amount. Yet the massacre has become a dirty Lone Star secret, remarkable more for the inattention it has received than for its remembrance. July 29, 1910, Slocum Massacre in Texas. We keep going. July 19, 1919, white mobs in uniform attack African Americans who fight back in Washington, D.C. White mobs incited by the media attack the African American community in Washington, D.C., and African American soldiers returning from World War I. This was one of the many violent events that summer, and it was distinguished by strong and organized black resistance to the white violence. That was July 19, 1919. July 27, 1919, Red Summer in Chicago. Red Summer in Chicago sparked by a white police officer's refusal to make an arrest in the murder of a black teenager. Violence in Chicago lasted almost a week. At least 38 people were killed and thousands of black homes were looted and damaged during Red Summer. This was July 27, 1919, Red Summer in Chicago. September 30th, 1919, the Elaine Massacre. Black farmers were massacred in Elaine, Arkansas for their efforts to fight for better pay and higher cotton prices. A white mob shot at them, at the farmers, and the farmers returned fire in self-defense. Estimates range from 100 to 800 killed, and 67 survivors were indicted for inciting violence. November 22nd, 1919, Bogalusa Labor Massacre, attack on interracial solidarity. The Bogalusa Labor Massacre was an attack on interracial labor solidarity in Louisiana. We keep moving, folks. November 2nd, 1920, the Ocoee Massacre. More than 50 African Americans killed in the Ocoee Massacre after going to vote in Florida. They were killed for going to vote. Remember that. November 2nd, 1920, the Ocoee Massacre. More than 50 African Americans were killed in the Ocoee Massacre after going to vote in Florida. May 31st, 1921, the Tulsa Massacre. In one of the countless white supremacist massacres in U.S. history, white supremacists destroyed a thriving black community in Oklahoma, known today as the Tulsa Massacre. That was a big one. May 31st, 1921. January 1st, 1923, Rosewood Massacre. White supremacists destroyed the black town of Rosewood, Florida, and murdered many of its residents. Descendants have fought for reparations and recognition of the history. December 29, 1923, terror attack on African Americans in Catcher, Arkansas. The Catcher race riot began in Arkansas, leading to the creation of another sundown town. February 8, 1968, 2 years before the Kent State murders, 28 students were injured and 3 were killed in Orangeburg, South Carolina, most shot in the back by the state police while involved in a peaceful protest. 28 students in a peaceful protest were shot in the back by police officers, and they were African Americans. June 17, 2015, the Charleston Church Massacre. 9 African American churchgoers were gunned down inside a church in an act of white supremacist terrorism. This was recently, June 17, 2015. May 14, 2022, the Buffalo Massacre. After posting a racist manifesto online before targeting a majority black neighborhood, a white supremacist killed 10 people at a grocery store in Buffalo, New York. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a list. I'm sure there are more. I'm sure there is more massacres. We are not going to go over all of them because it will take us probably months to go over it. But my point with reading all these massacres, my point is, in relation to the 2 people that have been killed in Minneapolis in less than 3 weeks by ICE agents, my point to bring in this list of massacres is to go back to the point that America is a great country, but we do have a dark side to us. We do have a violent side. This is a really violent country. And the only difference is the 2 people that have been killed by ICE agents have been white people. But black people have been telling us and have been going through this for years. Ever since the inception of this country, there has been massacres against black people, and they have been telling us for years and years and years about their brutality. They have been denouncing it, and they have been telling us, America is violent, and we never wanted to listen to them. And the only difference of what happened is that now the other side gets to see what black people have going through for years. Now the other side gets to live it. what black people have going through for years. And I'm not saying this is not right. It's absolutely it's not right at all what has happened. And I denounce also the ICE agents who committed these crimes. But I just wanted to bring up the point that black people have been telling us this for years. This is what America is. America is a great country, but we also have a dark side and a violent side. This has been happening to black people for years and years and years. They've been telling us this. We just have decided to ignore it. And I think it's time that we acknowledge the fact that black people have been telling us this for years. And I want to thank from my heart African Americans who have been in this country for years and who have gone through all those massacres, through all that pain, through all that sadness, and they've been denouncing all this for years. And now, because of we have social media and everybody has a phone, now we get to see actually what's going on. Imagine at those times when and back in the 1800s when there was no phones, imagine all the stuff that we don't know about. This is only the stuff we know about. These are the massacres that we know about. Imagine how many people lost their lives back in those days, how many African Americans lost their lives back in those days, and we have no idea that this stuff happened. Imagine to how many people this happened before, and we have no idea just because there was no social media, no phone, no nothing. Imagine that. So I wanted to say thank you to my fellow countrymen, my African Americans. Thank you from my heart, because as a Latino man, you guys have been telling us this for years about police brutality, about government brutality. You guys have been telling us this for years, and we have been just ignoring it. But you've always told us about this. This is nothing new. You've been telling us for a long time about police brutality. So I wanted to say thank you to African Americans from the bottom of my heart for always denouncing police brutality, for always denouncing government inequality, for always denouncing the racist people who have always been there trying to oppress. I wanted to say thank you to African Americans because you have always told us the truth. And I wanted to take this video and this time to go over those massacres and give a shout out to African Americans and to tell them that I am thankful for you, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. You fought for civil rights. You fought for liberty. You lost so many of your family members. So many of your family members were killed back in the day, and they're still being killed right now. The only difference is now is the other side that's being killed by the government. And now we have phones and we have social media, so everybody can see. So the government can lie and say, no, these people are terrorists. But the people know the truth because we have the phones, we have the videos. I have a video, a slow motion video, when the ICE agent pulls the gun out of Alex Terry. He pulls his gun out, and then they proceed to shoot the guy after the guy was disarmed. Yet the government is telling us that, he was terrorist, that he was this, that he was that, but we can all see it. So you can continue to lie to the American people, but we will continue to see what's going on in real time, because now we have people recording. We have this. So I wanted to say thank you to my fellow African Americans. Thank you for literally taking all the pain in the beginning, from the inception of this country. Thank you for everything that you've gone through. And I hope that we can unite as a country and push back, because what's going on, it is unacceptable. But I just wanted to say thank you. This is why I decided to make this video today, because I wanted to say thank you to African Americans, because they've been telling us that they have been denouncing all this police brutality and government brutality and racist people. They've been telling us for years, and we have been ignoring it. So I do understand if African Americans don't want to get involved in this part. The only thing I will say is that a country united, like the civilians united, no government can defeat us. If we unite and we march and we protest peacefully, they have to listen to us. So I just wanted to say thank you to my fellow African Americans. This is the end of my video. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. This is JC Diaz Uncensored. Hit like, share, and subscribe. Keep this movement going. It is unacceptable what happened to these two people from Minneapolis. It is unacceptable, but this is what America is. America has been violent from the beginning. And African Americans told us from the beginning, this is what has been going on. And now we just have the phones. Before they didn't have the phones, but now we have the phones. So every time you see somebody being abusive, being racist, pull your phone and record. Pull your phone out and record. Because trust me, somebody is waiting for that video to post it on real time. So thank you guys. This is JC Diaz Uncensored. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.